Welcome to everybody joining us. My name is Amy Sessions and I'm editor and associate publisher of Emirates Woman. In our new series In Discussion With, we'll be joined by the industry's leading experts, incredible women of influence, and global luxury brands who inspire us. Today's guest is Maria Hatzistefanis, founder of cult beauty brand Rodial. Welcome, Maria.
Hi, Amy. Thank you for having me.
So lovely to have you joining us from sunny London.
Absolutely, yes. We have a beautiful day here in Notting Hill today where I have been self-isolating for about 6 weeks now.
And your family is also there?
Yeah, I'm here with my husband. I have 2 boys. So yeah, we're all here.
How did you find running the show from home?
You know, at the beginning, it was a very novel idea to me, and I didn't know how this could ever work. I was a little bit worried how we would be able to work and run a business from home. But you know what? We got everyone set up with their computer and we got into a routine, speaking to everyone every day, doing Zoom calls and connecting. And it's actually been fine. It's been better than I thought. And it's a practice that working from home that I will be more relaxed with in the future, because it actually has worked quite well.
I think a lot of companies feel the same. And I think maybe there will be a difference in office space going forward. We definitely found the same, that it was when you're put in a situation where you have to make it happen, actually you do. And our May issue was the first issue that we didn't use any paper in at all until
Absolutely.
At the point of printing. We checked everything digitally and all the team was digital. So it was amazing, actually.
Yeah, it really worked. So I'm very happy.
So I wanted to ask you, there's so many questions, because personally, I'm a huge fan of Rodial, which is why we wanted to speak to you, obviously. And I know that we've had so many also questions from our readers. They also love the brand. Today is actually the first day that I'm wearing one of your products that I didn't try yet, which is the XXL mascara.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Amazing.
How did you like it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a convert. But I kind of wanted to know, I think, especially with all the changes that are happening, it's super interesting for me to understand, and I think everybody watching, where it all began and how you came to this point. So I know you started in editorial yourself, actually. And I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about how that's helped with communication or building the brand, because from what I see, it's really such a cult brand. And that following is the client engagement is amazing. So can you tell us a bit about what it takes to build a brand like that from the beginning?
Yeah, well, I'll give you a little bit of a background how I started, because it's a very similar situation to potentially what people are going through these days. So as you mentioned, I was always passionate about beauty and fashion. My first job when I was at uni was a beauty writer for 17 magazine. I did that for a little bit, but I was always curious about business. So I continued my studies. I studied business, and of all places, I ended up in banking here in London. And at the beginning, it was exciting, and I was getting involved in deals and finance, and it was all high adrenaline. But then a couple of years into it, I just lost all my interest. So one day, I get invited to the boardroom, and I am fired. And you know what? That is devastating. It was devastating for me, but it was the shock that I needed to make me realize what I wanted to do with my life and what my passion was. And it wasn't finance. It was definitely being in a creative sector. And that's where I came up with the idea of setting up my business. And why I think this is very important right now is because a lot of people are going through massive changes in their lives, whether a lot of jobs are lost as we speak, a lot of people are changing careers or shifting from one industry to the other. And I find that sometimes you need a shock like that to show you their way. And it can be a positive message. You can end up being in an area, a sector, a business, a job that you were always meant to be. And that shock really brought you to the right direction.
I think it's true. Fight or flight kind of mentality, and I think if you're a real fighter, you'll always find a way, whatever business that is. This is something that I kind of really admire about your journey and other people that I look to in the industry. It's something I associate myself with, of this kind of solution focus, trying to find a way through, trying to be creative. And like you said, I think a lot of people are going through that now, whether it's, you know, using the skill set that they have for a different industry, or pivoting the business that they have. I don't know if you, I mean, obviously I also read your books, which is amazing. Have you found any particular practices helpful? You say in your book that I have, How to Make It Happen, that I liked particularly the kind of wake up chapter about something that I found for myself. And it's a feeling that I think you have to discover for yourself. Everybody can always tell you to do it, but until I started doing this, and then when I read about other people doing it as well, having this kind of morning routine and getting up early and having your kind of rituals in the morning and in the evening, I think it's really key in pushing yourself forward. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have a whole chapter in my book, Make It Happen, that is called Your 6 a.m. Wake Up Call to Success. So it is very clear.
All of the, basically all of the edges are pushed down for me, and I've circled, underlined.
So, yeah, no, that's how I read books too. I never read electronic books. I like the physical book, and I underline everything. But since I started waking up early and using that time in the morning where you are at your most productive, your mind is very open to new ideas. Your mind can give you the solution if you are thinking about a dilemma. This is the perfect time to actually make plans. And I used to, before we went into lockdown and I would be at work between 9 and 9:30, I used to wake up at 6 o'clock and give myself a little bit of time in the morning to meditate, just get myself inspired, read a couple of pages from a book, listen to a podcast. I would fit in a workout a couple of times a week as well. But once we moved into the lockdown, I thought, you know what, I'm at home all day. Let's see how this evolves. And you know what, I've been following that early morning wake up, which now I need more than ever because everyone is here. My husband is here, the kids are here, so all day. So I need that time to myself in the morning. But I find, for a very different reason, that I need this time now to set my intention for the day. Because when I go to work, I know there's certain things that are happening. I meet with my teams, I get to answer calls, I get to solve problems. When you're at home and you need to drive your day, I find it's very important for me to set my intention. So I've changed my meditation, and I used to do more of a focus meditation, and now I'm doing a intention of the day. So it's 10 minutes where I sit down and I am with myself and my thoughts, and I think, what is it that I want to achieve today? Sometimes it's a business goal. Sometimes on the weekend that nothing is going on and we can't go out, it's my goal for the day is to clean up one drawer that I've been avoiding for a year. So it's giving yourself that purpose and that intention that I can do first thing in the morning. And so waking up, it's early and having this time to yourself where you make your plans. For me, it's the most important thing to drive your day and drive your life.
You were saying that you like to have the physical book, and me too. Do you also then write these down? Do you write them on paper in the morning when you do this, or is it more like a planning in your mind?
It depends. If it's a general idea, for example, last weekend, I started by tidying up one of my drawers that had all sorts of random things in it. And then next thing you know, I've cleared out all my wardrobes.
You've done a whole floor.
Yeah, so that it didn't need to write down. What I was going to do, it was, okay, I'm in a cleaning mode. But then if I sit down and I think, okay, today this is going to be a creative day, and I have 5 5 ideas I want to discuss with my team, and I want to speak to my product team to launch that product, or I want to speak to my online digital marketing team and I have this idea, then I would take down notes, and then as I'm making the calls for the day, I will go through my notes and speak to my team and connect on those ideas. So it kind of depends on the day and on the intention.
It's quite I also feel like when you're thinking of things sometimes in business or trying to find a solution, it's actually going through the process of doing those mundane tasks that sometimes the ideas come. I've sometimes been doing something in the house where I've tried to solve something the week before or day before, and I haven't found a solution for something, and it's obviously ticking through in my brain behind. And then suddenly it comes to me midway through, like you said, cleaning out a drawer, and you're like, okay, that's it. I have to talk to this person. So I think
exactly.
It's really interesting how it's all part of one process, actually. And so for me, I think the practices like you're discussing, for me, I like to do them also at the end of the evening, because my brain is always working fast and I'm thinking of other things. I don't know if you find it difficult because I see that you have so many plates. So you've got your business and your family, and you also need some personal time and friends. And sometimes it's difficult to actually, if you're an achiever, and you obviously are, it's difficult to actually switch off. I don't know if you find it, if there's anything that's helpful in the evening time that actually gets you going the opposite way. So instead of actually being productive, you're able to stop.
Yeah, well, especially now during lockdown, it's even harder, because when I go to the office, then I come back and it's a different environment, it's more relaxed, so it's easier to switch off. But now when you are at home all day, it's even harder to switch off. So I have a little ritual that we are allowed to go out once a day to have a walk here. Yep. So I use my once a day at the end of the day. So when I finish, depending on the day, it could be 6:30. So I actually take the boys, because that's the time that they also do their walk. So we walk for about half an hour. Sometimes we talk, sometimes I let them talk and talk about their things, and I have my headphones on and listen to music. Then I come back. I love to have a shower. So I have like multiple showers a day. I have one in the morning, maybe I'll have one at lunchtime, just refreshes me. But I have one in the evening with like a relaxing shower gel, and just makes me feel clean, and I've sort of washed away the day. I put on sort of comfortable clothes and soft fabrics. Then we watch a box set, all sorts of things we've been watching on Netflix lately. And then before I go to bed, I have a bottle of essential oil next to my bed, lavender, and I just apply a few drops under my nose and on my sort of décolleté area, and that sort of makes me relax and sleep. So yeah, it's a bit of a process, but I feel that now more than ever, it's more important for everyone to find a way to switch off, or else all you do is just in front of your laptop working all day.
Exactly. It's super interesting. I also wondered, I remember from where I was working previously, and I was working in e-commerce for a long time. And beauty for me is something that women always buy, even in crisis times, even if they stop buying fashion, and every kind of spend level. They still want their beauty products. Is this something that you see even now? Are you still seeing similar buying behavior or different products, or I don't know?
Absolutely. I mean, we've over the last 6 weeks, we've sold more concealers than we've ever sold. And there's one product that actually just sold out on Monday. We've sold tens of thousands of those the last few weeks. It's called Banana Low Lighter, which is a product that lightens up under the eyes and the T-zone. And it's kind of interesting. It's amazing. At the previous recession, I've been reading that women were buying red lipstick. No one wants red lipstick now. Everyone wants an under eye concealer to look good on Zoom and look good on the FaceTime calls. So it's, I'm telling you, the concealer sales have gone out of the roof. Insane. And we've done some amazing business online with them, and I hope that people still get to use them after the lockdown.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's a concealer time.
It's funny because you were saying to me that you, and I think it shows, because you were in banking and now you're in something much more creative that almost merges the two things. So you went from, let's say, editorial, which is more creative, to banking, which is the other side of the brain, and now you've got both. In many people that I've met in the industry, a lot of them are predominantly one or the other, and there are a few that have both sides. I'm wondering whether you find one or the other is more natural to you, or you enjoy one more than the other, or maybe it is actually, for me, it's actually the combination. I actually like both as well, but I don't know whether you have a preference.
Yeah, I like the balance. So I go through phases that all I want to do all morning is come up with product ideas or marketing ideas and connect with my team. And then after I do this, I've had enough. So I need to go into Google Analytics and do some analysis and go through some spreadsheets and check the stock. And sort of this morning I woke up obviously at 6. So I did all my morning routine, and 7 o'clock I was going through stock sheets and putting together some plans for stock orders for the next few months. And that gives me also a sense of achievement, that I'm looking into something and I'm managing a small project, and I want both. And I feel this is why I've been doing this job for so long, because it gives me the opportunity to be creative, but also go through the business side of it all, which I enjoy. So it's a combination, and I guess it's great to be able to do both.
I also like both, and it's funny because I always went into fashion because I loved the pieces and I loved luxury products and well-made things. It wasn't about the price point, it was about the craftsmanship of something. And it was only actually in changing slightly in my career in the same company into a slightly different role that became very business focused, and suddenly the numbers made sense that had never really been interesting to me. And so now I look to do something where I can also combine the two. It was funny also because I had a couple of very, luckily, some very good mentors who, I think you can't find these people. I think they kind of find you, or you find each other, and you can't kind of ask for it to happen. But they were very good at giving me the confidence to say, actually, it's fine to go in that completely different direction because you can do X, Y, and Z. Did you ever have anybody who was a mentor to you in any way that you look back now and you think, oh, that was a good bit of advice? And have you got anybody that you help now?
You know what, I wish I could say that I had a mentor, but when I started, even the notion of having a mentor just wasn't as big as it is now. So I used Google University, as you say. So I Googled everything. And I taught myself on how to start a business, how to run a business. Also, I'm an avid reader. So any problem that I have, I go on Amazon and it's how to solve that problem. And then 5 books appear the next day on, and I start reading and sort of digesting it all. And I guess that's what probably made me write the books. So as you know, I have 2 books, How to Be an Overnight Success and How to Make It Happen. I also have a podcast called Overnight Success, which covers similar subjects. And it was very important for me to share some of the lessons that I learned and some of the learnings since I started my business that I didn't have anyone to teach me. And I thought, rather than mentor 1 or 2 people, I can write the books and do the podcast and be able to indirectly mentor a lot more people and a wider audience. And I've had great feedback. I had lots of women who've started business after reading my books, changed careers. Amazing. And that makes me feel good that I was able, through my experience and putting it through my platforms, to help other women to find their calling. So that's really exciting.
That's amazing. I mean, I personally enjoyed your book, and it's definitely one that for me I would actually go back to. So I'm the same as you. When I am looking at studying something, or I want to, generally I like to read business books anyway. but Amazon's very dangerous for me because I find myself suddenly my basket is, you know, huge. But it's funny because I've got so many books here that I'm very bad for half reading something and then getting a new book and then starting that one and putting this one away. But I do dip into them again. And I like your book because I think when you kind of want to be reminded of why you felt inspired, you do go back.
Yeah.
That's why I circle pages, and I have a little code system, because I feel like sometimes you're like, okay, I want to be reminded why I have this practice of getting up, or why I have this practice of doing this. And actually, it's when you get out of these habits, it's much more difficult to get into. Talking of habit, I kind of feel like it's like a self follow-up in a way, and it kind of leads me into the discussion on clients, because for me, whether it's readership or when I worked in e-commerce, whether it's actual clients spending on fashion or beauty, I think that gone are the days where, for example, editors or buyers, for example, would tell clients exactly what they should have all the time and what they should buy. And I think the client, it's actually, the conversation is more the other way, and the client is saying, like, this is what I want. I don't know how you approach client acquisition in a sense, or retention, or how do you as a brand that's so beautifully built, how do you maintain that through the customer journey? Because I know that firsthand it's difficult to make sure that everything is perfect.
Well, I'm sure there is a lot of imperfections with what we do. There's you can never say everything is perfect, but what we have tried to do, especially with social media, and we have a couple of accounts. So I have the Mrs. Rodial account, which is my account, and I run, and we have the Rodial Beauty account, which is the brand account. But what we have been discussing, what we want to do is be that platform that entertains, educates, and brings interesting content. So whether you go to the Mrs. Rodial account or whether you go to the brand account, we're not just going to be about pushing product. So what I have been doing lately is posting some interesting articles, or on the weekend, I would do some polls or do some memes, and people, you know, would vote on whether they can relate or not. Or I am sharing some of the content that I have produced on my podcast regarding how to deal with the coronavirus as a person, how to motivate yourself, or post quotes. And then the brand equally could be posting a tutorial, or could be posting quotes on a Monday morning, how to get yourself motivated. So we are very committed to providing content that provides some use, and it's educational and entertaining at the same time. We try to do what we can and make sure that it's not just about pushing product, because, you know, that can be boring. How many times can you be promoting a face cream or a foundation? Like, you can't do that. You have to provide content to connect with your community. And I feel that what we have been trying to do is act more like a magazine. And we're never going to be as elaborate as a magazine, but create topics and create conversations within what obviously our passions are, and provide that extra comment that goes beyond the product.
I think for me, it's definitely interesting when I look at your social media platforms, because as I work in fashion as well, for me it's interesting because you're such a nice person to follow, because there's a very clear aesthetic on there. It's not a kind of mismatch of lots of different things. You can see, I think someone could show me a post and I would know it was yours. And it's so, yeah, for me that's really interesting, because you can tell that it's done by you, which I think most people much prefer, and it's not an agency doing it. And you know, I remember going to Mykonos last year, and it was my first time to Mykonos. And for me, it's very easy for me to dress for a city. I prefer like blazer, biker boots. If I'm going to the beach, I'm out of my comfort zone. Even though I live in a hot country, it's a different ball game. And for me, your account actually was one that I saw when I was going there, because I'm quite minimalist. So I was like, what is Maria wearing in Mykonos? And it's funny because we've not met each other before, but you feel like you know this person.
You feel the connection, yeah.
Yes, for sure. And then I think, and I thought to myself today how strange it was, because this was 1 year ago in very different times, in June. And I was looking at your Instagram, having obviously followed Rodial for a while and had some products and loved them. And I was looking, and I went to Mykonos, and I remember thinking, oh, she looks great with that. She's still doing black and white, perfect. And how strange 1 year later that we're having a conversation. I think it's a very small world sometimes.
It's a small world, yeah.
Definitely. And I wonder how much you actually bring that to yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like I do quite believe in this kind of law of attraction, and for me it's really interesting if you're somehow feeling connected or into a brand, or you know what I mean, how much are you actually encouraging that to come towards yourself? And this is for me why I feel it's super important for people to stay positive in this time, because I think that if you don't feel positive, you're not bringing positive things.
I couldn't be a bigger believer of the law of attraction. And it's, I mean, funny that you say that. I feel the same way with a lot of people on Instagram and a lot of brands that I follow. And I feel that we've built that community. I feel like we know each other, and it's weird. And sometimes I'll meet people in real life, and you just feel that you know them quite well, which is, it's strange. But I guess that's the beauty of the social media platforms these days, that you can build even friendships. You can build a network of people that you inspire each other, and there couldn't be a better time to have this. But yeah, now going back to the law of attraction, I'm always into being positive and thinking positive thoughts, and always always seeing the positive in everything that comes your way, because the positive thoughts will bring more positivity into your life. So definitely a big fan of the law of attraction. I've read The Secret, the book, many times, and I think I'm due to read it again very soon. And it's, it's
funny because when I was working previously, I worked in Net-a-Porter, and I remember Natalie Massenet saying to me that she had read, not to me directly, but to all of us, that she had read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've read that too. Yeah.
We mentioned it in the May issue, because in the May issue, we also focus on some podcasts and some books that you should read on, because it was the mindfulness issue. And it's interesting because I remember after that being really inspired and picking up The Power of Now and not understanding it at all. It was many years ago. And I just couldn't get it. So I kept it, I put it down, I didn't get very far into it. When I moved back to Dubai some 5 years ago, I bought the second one, which I forget the name of now, but it's a different colour. It's yellow on the outside, not blue. And it's the second part. I think it's called A New Earth. And it says in there, if you tried to read the previous book and you couldn't get it, it was because you weren't ready. So interesting.
That is so true. That is so true. Yeah.
I went back and read after I had read. So I read the second book first. Then I went back and read it. And it was like reading in my own language. Whereas before I had felt maybe it was probably a difference of, I would say, 7 years. And in those 7 years, something had changed where I was able to understand the book in the same words I could not understand before. So I think if those kind of things hadn't happened to me, I wouldn't believe them.
Really, you have to be ready for everything, right? It has to be, timing is everything, and you are obviously ready the second time.
That's true. So in thinking of being ready for things, how do you know when it's the right time to launch a new product? Do you sometimes come up with a good idea, but you wait and you don't release it?
We have a lot of brainstorming sessions, and probably every year we come up with, I want to say, about 25 product ideas. We start to pursue them, we get the samples, we look at the packaging, and we only launch about 7 And there's times that we have progressed the product to the point of we're almost ready to go into production and launch, but we don't feel it's exciting anymore, or we feel that maybe it was a trend that we don't want to get in anymore. So we're very, very strict with our launches, and we want to make sure that every product that we launch, first, it has a place in the market. And then us as consumers, as women, that we are excited to see this product in the market. If we see it just before the launch and we don't feel we're excited about it, we drop it. So we're very, very selective.
And it's interesting that you, for example, that you would go through all that process and still decide not to launch something. So I think that for me, I'm also quite similar with, and I'm talking about the pages, for example, that there's this kind of, for me, there's got to be a kind of quality control there. And if all the boxes are not there, I really believe that you need someone who can say, no, that's not right. Does that mean that you feel that you like to have involvement in lots of different areas in your company still? Because I still feel like it's quite valid to have one vision when you're building a brand still.
Yeah. I mean, you know what, it comes and goes. There's times that I mean, I have a great team around me. There's times that I feel I need to go into a bit more detail. There's times that I feel that I can take a step back on one area and deal with, let's say, sales and or teams and stores, and deal with that a bit more. So it's wherever the day takes me. It can be very different. But yeah, I pretty much am involved to a certain level with all areas. Operations is not an area that I'm keen to get involved with. I do know the top line information, but that's probably an area I have taken a step back and let other people deal with warehouses and orders and returns and credit notes and all that. I don't need to deal with all that. So I think there's better people suited for that. But other than that, I'm pretty much involved with all the other areas, more or less.
And just thinking about being at home at the moment, did you have any, for example, travel plans where you were going that you haven't been able to? Where when we're allowed out, do you have anywhere on your list that's still that you'd like to go when you have time?
You know what was interesting is before the lockdown, I've never traveled so much in my life. It was the fashion month, so I was in New York. I went to Paris a couple of times. I was in Milan. So I was traveled out. So by the time we started lockdown, I was ready not to travel for a while. I traveled a lot. This is a time that I pretty much stay in London and deal with business. In the summer, I love a weekend in Mykonos. So actually I had my friend, she was texting me a couple of days ago. She said, oh, will you be able to come to Mykonos? My friend owns a beautiful hotel. It's called Santa Marina, and she kindly invites me every year to go and stay. So she texted me the other day, and I was like, I don't know what to say to you. I would love nothing more than come to Mykonos for a weekend, but I don't know when we're going to be able to travel. But that's probably going to be my first trip, just a nice weekend away by the sea, having a rosé wine and just listening to chill out music. And yeah, that would be the dream. But just that, if I can have a long weekend in Mykonos, that's all I need. Nothing fancy.
I think one of the things that I miss being in Europe is that everything is so close there.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always an add-on to going home. So you kind of go home first, and you do what you need to do there, and then you do these excursions. So I'm also looking forward to going to Europe, I think.
Yeah.
I have one more question, and I just wanted to ask you. So for June, Emirates Woman issue is beauty issue, and I just wanted to know, what to you is beauty, if you could maybe answer that. And do you think it's changed as in the time that you've been working in the industry, or over time maybe it's different to you? And it's a question that I will ask others that we're kind of speaking with and discussing with, because I think it's really interesting to see the world through other people's eyes, so to speak.
For me, beauty is confidence. It's all about taking care of your skin, taking care of the way that you look, so that you feel confident. And for me, this is the end result. So that every woman knows what are the steps that she needs to take care of herself, to look good, and looking good for herself, and to make her feel confident, and for no one else. So for me, beauty is confidence.
That's an amazing answer. Maria, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Amy. That was fun.
I have to say, it's super nice when you meet somebody who you've read about or you've been inspired by, and they are even more amazing in person. So thanks for being with us today. It's really, really appreciated.
Thank you for having me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and let's just all get out of this lockdown and get to enjoy our lives.
Thank you. Thank you
so much. Bye. Bye. Bye.